listening to the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, where each week we talk about a free piece or two of technology that you can use in your classroom. I'm your host, Shannon Martin. I'm a middle school teacher, technology coach, and personalized learning coordinator for my district.
And I'm her producer and husband, Fuzz.
Hey.
What up, what up?
We're both well.
Yeah.
Like, you can talk, and I can talk.
That's right.
And they're both our own voices.
We had a little scare this week.
Oh, yeah.
Because the youngest, who had been the first one to get sick before we got sick.
Before everyone got sick.
Came down with strep. But she's good now.
All is well.
So far, I'm not going to knock on wood too hard because the dog will bark. But knock on wood. Here, I'll tap on the microphone.
Nice.
Neither of us have strep. No. Check in with us again next week.
And we'll see who's talking.
Yes.
Or not talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fabulous Wisconsin winter weather.
Yeah, it is February still, and it
still February.
was 40 degrees today, which felt kind of nice.
It was sunny. It was nice.
It was windy. It would be nice if it were 55.
Yeah.
But you know what? It'll be here soon enough.
And then we'll be complaining because it's too warm. So,
True that. But speaking of winter.
Yes, winter weather in Wisconsin causes...
Snow days.
Snow days. And we needed a theme because...
You love a theme.
I love a theme.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually just experienced, kind of in my district, our first one of these. It was like our test run kind of deal. And in our district, you like this? I'm like really building this up. Like it's this really big thing. Mm-hmm. We call them... Mm-hmm. We call them digital learning days.
Yes.
A lot of other districts call them eLearning days. And e-learning or digital learning, it's where you're learning, but you are not physically in the classroom.
Can we call it World Wide Web learning?
That would be amazing. It's also like it's just flipped learning. A lot of teachers run a flipped classroom where you do the stuff at home and then you come to school for discussion. But anyway, this is becoming more and more popular in our area. Now, I'd like to point out that because I am on the committee for our district, we do all this kind of stuff, like investigating other school districts. I get it. Minnesota's been doing these forever. Like Indiana's been doing them forever. Other parts of Wisconsin have been doing them forever, or at least the last 5 years. It's becoming more and more popular because the weather's a little more crazy and there's more technology out there. So you have more options to be able to teach your students when you are not physically in front of them or in the classroom with them. So my district took the adventure of a digital learning day, and we have planned for it for an entire school year to have one planned digital learning day. I know some districts last year, I guess here in Wisconsin, there's a lot of districts that were like, hey, we had how many ice days, snow days last year?
Oh man, last year, I mean,
we had at least 4.
There was a
cold
week
days.
stretch where it was like negative 65 with the wind chill.
It was awful.
Have you ever seen Hoth? It was Hoth.
A little Star Wars reference no.
I mean, yeah, for those of you who don't know Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's one of the icy planets where it
was really cold.
The rebels had a base and the empires, blah, blah, blah.
So it was really cold. And so a lot of districts just said, hey, we're going to, like, teachers get your lesson plans, so I do this.
Yeah.
My district wanted to plan one and have things kind of rolled out specifically to what they needed. So we've been planning since, like, last winter that we were going to have one this year. And we have conferences that are too full. Like, I should say, we have 2 full days where staff is off because we have professional development and we have conferences. So they thought that would be a good way to build it in. So that way we know students won't be there, but we know staff will be in the building kind of deal. So this is like a really long explanation. So digital learning day.
We've got time.
Resources that are helpful to teachers that aren't super difficult to learn, and you can assist your students in their learning while they're at home and not make things too complicated, I guess. It's kind of...
Yeah.
Like they're tools that are easy to use, but... And
it's
of course, free.
They're free, and you're not going to have to go take a class to learn how to use them.
Right. And I guess I will preface this with most of these tools I have already talked about on previous episodes, but when we put together kind of a staff resources page, these were the highlights or the ones that my staff glommed onto the most. They're like, hey, we already are using these already or something similar. And so the students know how to use it, staff knows how to use it, and this would be great for our digital learning day because we can get content to students and not have to worry about a bunch of extra stuff.
Sure.
Cool?
Yeah, cool.
So, our first tech tool is Edpuzzle.
Mm-hmm.
Edpuzzle.
Edpuzzle.
So, I'm going to talk about two of them together, I
Edward
guess.
Puzzle Hands.
Oh my gosh, that's like way back when.
Yeah.
Episode 24 when we talked about
Yeah,
this.
I made those jokes then, and they're still funny now, you guys.
You
Come
are
on, people.
the same one. Okay, so Edpuzzle that we talked about before. And
Theodore Puzzle.
And, oh my gosh, Play Pause It, which was like back in episode 6. So like way back. Mm-hmm. If you want the specific details, you can kind of reference those episodes. But Edpuzzle and Play Pause It are both like video-based platforms where you take a video and then you add your own like questions or comments or content to it. Mm-hmm. And then students watch the video and they either answer your questions or they put a reflection in. Or,
right.
So as you're watching or as they're watching, they are able to gather the information you want them to.
So do they respond by typing, or is it a video response?
It's a video and then there's like a multiple choice questions.
Okay.
Or like in Play Pause It, there's like even a reflective pause. So it depends on which one you're in. I'm lumping them together. They do similar things. But like Play Pause It, you can put in like a reflective pause, or you can put in a reflection, and it connects everything to your Google Classroom and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Edpuzzle is similar, where you watch the video and then you're able to answer questions. Edpuzzle, though, also connects you with other teachers in your district.
Okay.
So like when I pull up my Edpuzzle homepage, I have curriculum-based videos that other teachers have created anywhere, but then you also have, it'll say your school district name, and I can pull up any other teacher's videos from my district.
Oh, okay.
So like staff can share with one another in Edpuzzle.
Cool.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
So like if there's a department video, or you want to watch things across several classrooms, you don't have to have several teachers create it. You can just click on one teacher can create it, and then all of the teachers have access to it.
Sure.
So,
is this something that students can watch on their mobile devices, or do they have to be on the computer?
Yeah, they can. It's harder, obviously, because it's
smaller,
but
I mean,
they watch TikTok videos on the phone all the time.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, who doesn't besides you?
I don't. No,
but I send you some, and sometimes you watch them and you laugh.
Sometimes.
Sometimes you
Rarely.
say, "Are you a 15-year-old girl?"
And
I also
point that out.
Answer yes. I am.
But yeah, so
just so because one of the things to consider when doing e-learning or digital learning days is the connectivity of the students.
Correct.
And their homes.
Right.
So a lot of
ours is planned, so everyone knows ahead of time. So we address those students that don't have technology at home. We're able to get them what they need ahead of time, or they're able to do it like the day after.
But in the case of a surprise snow day,
correct,
then you have to be able to be a little bit nimble, and that's kind of the idea with digital learning days, right?
Yeah, or like local libraries, or even McDonald's has Wi-Fi. There's different ways to meet the needs of different kids.
Steal it from your neighbors.
Yeah, you could go sit on their front porch and be like, "Hey, just borrow your Wi-Fi." Yeah. But even like where I'm at and where I teach, we kind of talked about this. I'm out in a rural area where it's not possible. Like it's physically
like if you're snowed in, you're not going anywhere.
Right, but I mean, there's no Wi-Fi. Like there's no there's no company that will get them internet. Like it doesn't. Like you can't do it.
Sure.
Like even the little hotspot thing, like doesn't work out.
Oh really? Oh yeah.
Doesn't work in some areas.
Places.
So like,
but you have big wind turbines, so that's cool.
But that all plays into it. So like when you're planning digital learning days, e-learning days, you have to be flexible. Like anything in education, I feel like you can be successful with the math, like large majority,
Right.
but you're still going to have things that you have to be flexible with.
Yep.
Also, before I forget, with Edpuzzle, it also, you can pick like YouTube Khan Academy videos, National Geographic TED Talks. Like those are all in there as like places to start from. In Edpuzzle, PlayPosit, they do have in PlayPosit, the other one, they are called I can't think of the name of them right now. Like your little pods, kind of, and you're able to, like, bulbs is what they're called, and you're able to like save your own bulbs, and you can borrow from other teachers too, but there's not, I feel like there's not as much flexibility with PlayPosit,
Right.
but there's, when picking your stuff, but you have more control kind of over what your actions are, because you can upload from your Google Classroom and stuff.
Sure.
So, anyway, but those are both like video sharing content type ways to address student needs during an e-learning day.
Sure.
The next one is, we've talked about before, Reclipped.
Yeah.
So when we lost video notes, and everybody was super sad
They
because
were.
video notes, I've had lots of people like, video notes doesn't work. I'm like, I know, sad day. But Reclipped does the same thing that
Yes.
old school video notes does, where you watch a video and you comment your thoughts along the sides of it, and it saves your notes. So basically it's your video and your notes at the same time, but now it's called Reclipped. So that works really great for an e-learning day. If you drop your video into Google Classroom and have your students do their Reclipped along next to it, and they can share all their thoughts about what they're watching and what they're gaining from it and what their questions are, like they can put it all into a video.
For sure.
So that's Reclipped. And it's really easy to use. The next one is super popular. It is Flipgrid. I feel like we talked about this when we were like flipping. We did Flip Snack and Flipgrid. We were doing flipping, all kinds of flipping things.
Right. Yes.
Back in episode 22.
We flipped out.
We did. For
over
flipping
technology.
things. Oh my goodness. But Flipgrid is, for anyone who's unfamiliar with Flipgrid, you are able to create grids that house like topics, and then I've done it where I create my own video, like giving directions, and then students can create their own video responding to that.
Sure.
Or they can like pose kind of discussion questions, or they can, if they've read a book, they can give their response in a video response. So Flipgrid's really cool because you can turn on and off settings, so like students can see each other. So you can have on like an e-learning day,
Right.
if the kids like put their first response in, and then your assignment is to respond to two other students' discussions, they can have like a simulated classroom discussion from their living rooms. It won't be at the same time. I mean, but it can be working within, like, addressing each other. But there's so many other cool ways to use Flipgrid. I have one teacher having students practice their reading fluency by reading and watching themselves read.
Oh, sure.
And the kid's like, I don't want to see myself. She's like, well, then you can turn it to the wall. But she's like, you still need to listen to yourself.
Yeah.
To work on the reading fluency.
Yeah, that's great.
She also uses it for parent-teacher conferences. Like, I should say, scratch that, student-led conferences. So the students go through and they reflect on their video. She has questions that lead them. They respond, they talk. And then each kid gets their little QR code, and she sends it home to the parents.
Oh, sure.
So the parents have heard their kid explain everything before parent-teacher conferences as to why things are going on and what they're learning and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But Flipgrid, there's so many different ways to use it. And I feel like so many staff members coming up with creative, cool ways to share information. So on an e-learning day, the kids are used to creating their videos. So you just drop it into your classroom and be like, hey, if you've read a book today, or if you are learning this certain science content, videotape yourself, explain the concepts, what do you have questions on, share it, watch two other students' videos, and they can share their stuff in a Flipgrid. And it's very, very user-friendly. The kids type in the flip code, it comes up, they can do all the stuff that they need to, and it's really an easy way to share information on a digital learning day.
Sure.
And they can, videotape themselves on their phones. They can be like, hey, this is my living room, and like show.
Do Chromebooks have cameras? Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool.
So it's super easy. So Flipgrid, I would suggest Flipgrid for an e-learning day.
By the way, I've toyed with, and I'm not going to probably, but I've toyed with getting a Chromebook at work instead of my Mac.
Wow. Why?
Just lighter and
for like extra things, not for the heavy duty creative.
Yeah, that's probably not for the heavy duty stuff, but like when I'm on a plane or traveling,
mm-hmm.
And I don't need Photoshop or Adobe Audition or anything like that. If I'm just doing, because all of our work email is based on Gmail and all of our copy.
I love that you say this too, because I talk to so many people like business. We only use Microsoft.
No, we don't use.
But you guys don't.
We moved away
Google.
from Microsoft. Yeah, so we only use Google. In fact, we used to like write like Word docs and put them onto a shared drive server. Like let's say you're writing copy for a brochure. Mm-hmm. You'd write it, you put it on the server with a version number, and then you'd send it to the client once it had been proofread and all the 3 versions with like the first version, a proofread version, a corrected version. Mm-hmm. You'd send that version to the client. They'd make some markups and send it back. Now we do it all in Google. There's one version with changes that we can go just back in history if we need to. Yeah. And you just either share it with the client or you can download it as a doc or whatever they need. And it's so easy. And so I could use a Chromebook to do most of that stuff, but there's other heavy lifting stuff that I need this for. But most, I would say 95% of the time I'm not using everything I'm using. Everything I'm using is Chromebook friendly. So
well, there you go. Then you can have a little Chromebook and collect stickers on it, and then you have your Mac and collect stickers on it.
Yeah, I might take the stickers off my computer this weekend. We'll see.
Oh no. Of the world.
Yeah.
Change it up. Mm-hmm. So anyway, cool. Back to our e-learning.
Yeah, sorry.
So no, it's fine.
I digress.
So Flipgrid, our last two. So we have Screencastify, which I live in Screencastify.
That's the one you use. Like if you have if like when our daughter was sick and you need to record classroom instructions. Yeah,
I record for my sub. I record videos, so my students work self-paced all of the time. Like Screencastify is my go-to. Mm-hmm. And I like to put out that our high school math department. They don't necessarily use Screencastify, but they screencast all of their math lessons, so all of the kids can just go online. The teachers literally explain the work they did in class that day with additional problems, so there's extra practice, and they have them on their websites, and that's basically how our kids do math. So on an e-learning day, like our high school math department, the kids are running a regular math class like they would any other day. Like they know that their teachers have their videos, they've got the extra practice, like everything's there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's nice that like technology lends that so students can work at their own pace and get extra help. But anyway, so Screencastify, I screencast things all of the time. And I know that when you're using Screencastify or like certain sites, you start losing the freebies because after a while you're like, hey, your account has too much on it, and then you're like, oh, super, I can't do anything about that. So I do have one new site to put out there because Screencastify we talked about in like episode 5 or something because it's one of my favorites, but Loom is my suggestion for today.
Okay, Loom LOOM.com. Loom. So what Loom is a screencasting Chrome extension, and it's pretty cool. I've played around with it a bit. I am loyal to Screencastify, but if you are not and you're looking for a new one or something that's really cool, so it is a Chrome extension, which is nice. And it's really simple. You click record a video and you got your little easy one click. You can choose to show your screen, obviously your face in your screen, or your screen. Yep.
and it records. It creates a little folder, it saves everything for you. But where Loom and Screencastify differ is I never make a video over 20 minutes, so I'm not concerned. But with Loom, there is not a time limit.
Right. You can record as long as you want on Loom.
So if you are doing like a longer lecture, or if you are doing an e-learning day assignment that's more extensive than 20 minutes, or you don't want to do like 3 separate 20-minute videos, or what do you want to do? If you're running a lab, maybe, Loom doesn't have a time limit. So you, in the free version, like you can go on as long as you want to.
Yep. I think the limit's only, you can have 25
videos.
Which is a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot of videos.
Because can each student have their own account then? And
you could.
If they needed, I mean, if they needed to.
If you need your kids to do it, yeah.
But this is mostly for
educators. It depends. But yeah, if you're having a kid, like, explain something back. But, yeah, so unlimited time, and you get 25 videos. That's pretty solid for...
I mean, if you play your cards right, you could have infinity length of video.
You could really just keep it on all of the time.
For the rest of your life.
There you go.
And then pass that down to your children, and they'd still have 24 more videos.
And just keep videoing and video. Anyway, so Loom has, it's an extension, and it's unlimited time. It's got 25 videos. It's got like a trimming tool, so you can actually make edits to it, which is kind of nice. Because in Screencastify, the edit, you like the free version doesn't always let you like do that.
Okay.
You can embed the videos, and then it integrates with Google and Slack and
Jira, which is more of a lot of web and project teams use it for like progress, and it's like it's almost exactly like Trello, except for Trello. It's from Atlassian.
Taco stickers.
Yes. Send us some taco stickers, Trello. I know you're not listening, but I wish you were. But Jira is owned by Atlassian, who owns Trello, and you use it for like bug tracking websites, launching websites.
Okay.
Our web teams use it a lot at the agency.
Nice.
But
so Loom works with that too.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Does anybody in the education world use Slack? I doubt it, right?
I just hear you talk about it.
Yeah.
You can explain Slack too if you want.
It's just a chat app, but it's
we use Google Chat if we're gonna chat.
Yeah, we moved away from Google Chat because of some issues with Google Chat functionality. So,
yeah, and a lot of districts actually shut off Google Chat. So
Slack is the cool part about Slack is GIFs. You can send GIFs.
Nice. So like Loom has got a lot of cool things to offer, and if you're looking for a different way to screencast, it works really well. And you can also like drop the video into Google Classroom, like you'd be able to do anything in an e-learning day or a digital learning day. Google Classroom is probably one of your best friends, because you have to house your stuff someplace. So if you don't have a Google Classroom, if you don't want kids emailing you, a lot of districts have like district web, or teachers have their own websites too, which you can obviously
you can embed it anywhere with and instantly generate embedded HTML.
Yeah.
Boom.
There you go.
Wonderful.
Loom, create videos.
Boom, or should I say
Loom. That's amazing. So, e-learning days, digital learning days.
If it weren't for dad jokes, we wouldn't have kids jokes.
What?
We wouldn't have kid jokes.
Oh my goodness.
You can use that one, folks. Go ahead.
So special. But digital learning days, e-learning days, digital learning days. There's just
that reminds me of an episode of Odd Squad.
A lot of options.
Where one of the Odd Squad children couldn't use the letter S, and she was talking without using the letter S, and it's really funny.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for.
Anyway.
On an e-learning day, you can watch an episode of Odd Squad.
You
Practice
could.
your math.
On an digital learning A.
There you
go. Watch an episode of Squad.
All right, and we're done.
Episode. Yeah. Anyway.
Nice. Episode 48, man.
48.
Digital learning day. E-learning days.
Yes.
If you got to try them out, if you got to let us know. Hopefully these sites will kind of help out a little bit. I'd love to hear how
Or
other
even if
districts
you're-
are, what you use for e-learning days and digital learning days. Like these are kind of like everybody go-to kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
if there's anything cool that you're doing,
Got an idea?
shout it out, man.
Hit us up.
Cool. Well, thanks for tuning in. This has been the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast. If you ever have any questions, you can find me on Twitter at SmartInWI or on Facebook. You can join us. I post fun things on Facebook sometimes too. And if you want to get more information on the links to the technology discussed in this episode, visit smartinwi.com. Check out that EdTech directory.
Yep.
We have over 120 plus sites in the EdTech directory
Yeah,
now.
pretty great.
New episodes each week. Thanks for listening. Go educate and innovate.
The ideas and opinions expressed on this podcast and the Smart and WI website are those of the author you just heard, her, Shanna Martin, and not of her employer. Prior to using any of the technologies discussed on this podcast, please consult with your employer regulations. This podcast offers no guarantee that these tools will work for you as described, but we hope they do, and that's why we do the show. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.